Okay, welcome to a special edition of the Voice of Harrisburg. I'm your host, Will Scoggins, and today we are joined by District 1 candidate, Denice Traina. Welcome, Denice. And,
Thank you.
Glad to have you on the show. And we're going to talk to Denice about her candidacy running for commissioner for District 1. Tell me a little bit about District 1. Where exactly is it?
District 1 extends from, we've got some folks that are up in the Sand Hills area and some from the Hill area, and it extends down, and really the greater amount of folks are in the Harrisburg, Laney Walker area, all the way down, including all the folks in East View, East Boundary and up against Sandbar Ferry. So it's kind of an interesting sort of a number 7 or an L, depending on the way you think about it. But it's definitely a very diverse, probably the most diverse district, actually. Okay. So it makes it very interesting, I think, and challenging.
Okay, so have you been out like on a walking tour of District 1?
Right. I consider my listening tour, I've been saying, and so it's enabled me to, through going to different events and local churches and faith homes and knocking on doors, I felt like I really needed to know what was on the minds of people in the district in a variety of ways. And so I've been downtown, of course, First Fridays and different things. And that's given me a good idea of what some of the business folks want and expect of a commissioner, and their hopes and dreams for Augusta. And then I've gotten a lot of folks who feel that really jobs are they're hurting, and they're really asking for jobs and job training opportunities. And all of the folks I've spoken to, really, whether they were folks that were highly educated or folks that are looking for that job training, have expressed to me that they want Augusta to be better than any other second largest city, and they're disappointed that we're not measuring up on some of the amenities that most cities our size have, like mass transit. So, they see that they're hurting, and they need to get to jobs, and mass transit is generally, the convenient economic way to do that, and they don't have that ability here. They see jobs at Fort Gordon, and we no longer have a Fort Gordon bus route. They see jobs out Washington Road, and the route doesn't go far enough, and out to 56, the same thing. So they see that the dream is to expand and modernize mass transit. And again, with those jobs, like I said, bringing jobs and job training here. And then some of the folks that have had the advantage of more formal education want to see us bring a software company here. Let's keep more of our youth that are graduating from studying computers here. Let's keep them here in Augusta. And if there were jobs that were developing software or different things like that, maybe our students, our young folks, would not leave here, but would actually stay here in Augusta to raise their families. So the listening tour has just been very eye-opening and gratifying for me to know what the citizens are really asking for.
So what about that transit? Now, that transit issue seems to be, when did we lose our Fort Gordon bus, our bus, what do you call it?
Route?
That route, yeah.
I don't recall the exact year, but it's been quite a while, and I think for a lot of people, they just scratch their heads about why on earth do we do that when not only for the jobs that are out there, but also here's a group of folks who have sacrificed, who have come here and moved to our city for training and things, and does this really show our appreciation to them to isolate them? They also aren't making a lot of money. Most of the people that live out at the fort on housing there, and they may not want to invest in a vehicle while they're here. So I'm not certain how many years, but it's been several years. And I think there are people that doubt why that took place. I can't say that I know the exact cause, but many people suspect that it's more about keeping people where they can keep an eye on them than it is about thinking about their needs for recreation and entertainment.
Now, up to a point, the city if I understand this right, the city ran the bus service, and then they turned it over to a private company. And wasn't that a couple of years ago they turned it over to the private company?
It's just been about a year now. It's a year
okay.
where the mobility company stepped in, and to be honest, it appeared that the city was saying, hey, we don't know how to do it. Let's hand it over to somebody that we think does know how to do it.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's not what happened. They ended up hiring on some people themselves, the mobility people. And even after that, they did not do a good job. They did not give us any more service. They did not give us any more routes in particular. In fact, they had difficulties paying their vendors. I have to give them credit for two things. They made a glossier map for everyone to see. It's nicely done.
Okay.
And they also upgraded and made glossier the route papers that you saw. Those were, aesthetically speaking, an improvement.
Well, thank God for aesthetics. I mean, really.
However, most people don't care about that as much as they'd love to have a lot more routes. They want to get to where they need to get to, like work and school. So I'm afraid they really didn't get a good grade from that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we want to have prettier menus, but the food's not very good. But okay, okay. So, all right. So, what kind of preparation have you had for this position?
Well, I guess like most, I've been a taxpayer here in Augusta for over 20 years. Lived in my neighborhood in Harrisburg, and became actively involved with my neighbors. Probably the most recent is in 2008, around there, when we went and got the community garden, and that was through a relationship with our church across the street, Assembly of God Church. And I'll tell you, after that, when we started the garden, more people would stop by and just have conversations with me, and it was really enlightening to me to hear about issues regarding housing, especially here. People were struggling to maintain the housing that they had, but a lot of the landlords were not willing to invest in repairs, and so people found themselves having to look for different housing because, frankly, they couldn't take the mold. They had children. They couldn't deal with not having secure doors and windows, and so it became obvious to me that we had some people who were really exploiting some of our population. And in terms of housing, I'm afraid it hasn't gotten a lot better. So I became aware of those issues, and usually would try to refer people to places that I knew. And along with that, I became aware of people who were just plain old hungry. And also I would, refer them to, it was Mercy Ministries and we have another food kitchen on Green Street. I just became aware of issues that poorer folks, and even the working poor, were having right here in Harrisburg. And so transportation became a part of that, because people would say, I heard about a job, or there's a guy who needs painters and he needs this and that, but I've got to be able to get there and get back. And that's when I became aware of how limited our transit system was. When I wanted to be able to refer people, I wanted to be able to help area nonprofits or like churches and all, help fund these folks and give them, say, a bus pass. But what good's the bus pass if you can't get to a job unless it happens before 7 p.m.? So I became very much more aware of the realities of what mass transit has been the limitations of mass transit here. And I'm a physical therapist by trade, and I work in the home health industry. So in my work in this county and in probably 5 or 6 other counties, I'm in and out of people's homes. And so here, when I was working, whether it's Richmond County, Burke County, or Columbia County, I became very much aware of the differences in the counties in terms of what they provide. And we just can't continue the way we are. We have populations of people, be it handicapped, or the elderly, for the working poor and should be doing better. And I just one more involved in trying to see what could have, what other options were out there for people, and finding out that there are less and less options in spite of the fact that these populations are growing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of led me to speaking to people like the Agency on Aging folks and the Urban Ministries folks. And so, you try to just recommend things for people. And then you say, well, what can we do for the ones right around here? And so we put together a new neighborhood group called the Historic Harrisburg Community Council. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of a listening post again. And when we started, we had 13 people in the living room just talking about what people needed.
Right.
And at that meeting, we realized that we had elders in our community that just wanted a visit once a month.
Right.
So little by little, we had people who were willing to take on that job. And Pam is a great friend and lives over on Hick Street. She's
Mm-hmm.
taken on that. And different people have, noticed different things that we might be able to help with. But that's kind of how I think I got started. And I think it's a combination of being a mom and a spouse
Mm-hmm.
involved in PTA over the years, getting the community garden going, that when people start talking to you, it's real hard to ignore their concerns. Mm-hmm. And then when you start going and investigating how you can help them, and you come up to, some barriers, you think, well, how can I be more effective? And I feel like, being aware and active in my own neighborhood, now I can take it up a step, up a notch, and see about helping an even greater area of people for the district.
I'll tell you what, let's take a short break and play a song, because we usually play songs on this show. We're not going to change. We're not going to play as many songs as we usually do. We will have our usual show tonight, but we're having this special show today, and we'll play a quick tune and get back in just a minute. Let's see, I have one picked out. I usually have this problem.
There's so much to choose
There's so much to choose from. Let's see, we'll hear from the Blue Onesies, and the song's called A Glass of Wine. Let's
me with my glass of wine, I am feeling fine. I saw my friend today, but now she's gone away. We've been drinking wine, 'cause she likes drinking too. For us any wine will do. Red wine explains the mess, and the meth smell on our breaths. White wine makes my lips screw. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. I went to church when I was 7, so I could get to heaven. I went to church when I was 9, so I could drink the wine. So I could drink the wine. But now all my wine is gone. It doesn't last in the glass for long. Now it's in my head, and so is my friend, and so is this song. And so is this song. Me with my glass of wine.
Dancing may do this and that, help you shake and shimmy your fat, but I'm no friend of dancing when it's hard. So if you are a dancing fool who loves to dance and can't keep cool, bear in mind the idea that I've got. When it gets too hard for comfort and you can't get ice cream cones, t'ain't no sin to take off your skin and dance around in your bones. When the lazy syncopation of the music softly moans, t'ain't no sin to take off your skin and dance around in your bones. The polar bears are green up in Greenland, they've got the right idea. They think it's great to refrigerate while we all cremate down here. Just be like those bamboo babies in the South Sea tropic zones. T'ain't no sin to take off your skin and dance around in your bones. When you're calling up your sweetie on those hothouse telephones, t'ain't no sin to take off your skin and dance around in your bones. When you're on the crowded dance floor near those red hot saxophones, t'ain't no sin to take off your skin and dance around in your bones. Take a look at the girls when they're dancing, notice the way they dress. Wear silken clothes without pantyhose and nobody knows the rest. If a gal wears x-ray dresses and shows everything she owns, t'ain't no sin to take off her skin and dance around in her bones. Take a look at the girls when they're dancing, notice the way they dress. Wear silken clothes without pantyhose and nobody knows the rest. If a gal wears x-ray dresses and shows everything she owns, t'ain't no sin to take off her skin and dance around in her bones, them dry bones.
Okay, so we're... Whoops. Oh, wait a minute. We're supposed to turn that... We're supposed to turn it off. We're not in the outer limits. We're supposed to turn that off. I forget sometimes to turn it off. And I sound like I'm in the outer limits. So, anyway, I drive around a lot. I drive around Harrisburg a lot. In the middle of no. Just anywhere. I notice a lot of these houses around here have a boarded up, houses falling in. Have you seen a lot of that?
Within walking distance of my house, yes, we've got, I can tell you on Fenwick and on Watkins right now, we have houses like that. And I think what's, for the public, there's no designated, where there's a warning or a posted paper that says what the status is on these properties. I think that many people are concerned about not knowing, what is the status? What happened with these buildings? Right. But what we are told when we've asked code enforcement folks is that generally what happens is that a member in the family dies. And when they die, the rest of the family are not interested in keeping the property up, so they don't.
All right.
And little by little it falls apart. And as it's falling apart, it invites prostitution. We've had people hiding guns under houses. Some of them where they have caught fire because folks have moved into them and had fires in them to keep warm. But, we haven't seen a concerted effort to reverse this and to really deal with the present situation. And I don't know if you heard, but like about 188 properties have been designated to be torn down. But if you're looking at District 1 and District 2 altogether, for instance, that's really not putting a dent in it. So I'm thankful for that, and I'm looking forward to it. But these dilapidated places are around. They're public nuisances. They're public health hazards. You and I know. I mean, kids, they're going to walk and be curious about these places, and they really are, in many cases, dangerous.
Okay, now
So,
who makes the designation to tear a place down?
The city will eventually make that designation, but it starts with code enforcement. Code enforcement kind of calls. They find out and identify the owners, which they will tell you. I've had good conversations with Mr. Sherman and Ms. Costabile that the first thing is they have to identify who the owner is.
Right.
And sometimes, in some cases, that could be 4 people. That could be 4 or 5 siblings that inherited that space, that piece of land. And then you got to find all those people.
Right.
You got to find them. You've got to inform them. You've got to make sure that and so some of this along the trail is what's difficult. Sometimes they can't even find the people, and so what happens is things just sit there. So for us, in this situation, I think we'd all like to see some sort of maybe a modification of ordinances or something to where when this is found to be the case, that you have 6 months to a year to fix the place up or at least mothball it. Now that's a process that is by the city. It's got this whole process, cover up the windows and everything. You will notice that some places are mothballed and others are not.
Okay, and by mothballed, I guess that means when they put the
that
plywood over it.
Exactly.
Right.
The exits have to be secured. The windows have to be secured. And the truth is that's not always the case.
Okay.
That's just not,
So there was this, I don't know, this may be getting into ancient history, but there was a point at one time when they were trying to pass a chronic nuisance ordinance. Now, that doesn't have anything to do with this?
I think it's similar, but I'm not sure if they were asking for, at one time, part of the chronic nuisance, I believe, had to do with crime also.
Okay.
And so there have been nuisance ordinances across the country where if a crime is committed in a piece of real estate, that real estate could be seized by the authorities and put the other people out that that had something to do with it. And so, and I think what part of the discussion was, whether or not what's also considered eminent domain, where you can seize a piece of property if it is in the best interest of the citizenry to have that piece of property, which normally you see done when they're going to widen a road or something.
Yeah, eminent domain.
Yeah. Right. So the topic has been visited, and I think when they look at the possibilities of litigation, that what we end up with is saying we need to enforce the laws that we have on the books right now.
Right now, okay.
That seemed to be the resolution.
Okay, all right. So switching topics. Kind of switching topics totally. What do you think? I mean, we're looking at the commission now, and we sort of see. I think we sort of see the general consensus of the commission now is that they are more like, I don't know if we want to say they're more like, the analogy is more like our Congress on the national level. They don't seem to get a whole lot done. Yeah, dysfunctional, I guess. Yeah, that'd be a kind word.
The words that we
kind word for it.
I think. It's funny. I think we do see gridlock, and the gridlock seems to be, and this is as an observer of someone that, I'm looking at trying to get information about certain issues. Sometimes I think it happens because they don't have the same information. And I get the impression that they're not really sharing in a collaborative way.
Right.
And so I think some of what we've seen in indecision or some of the times when they just can't seem to get along is more about a faulty collaborative process.
Okay.
And then again, at the congressional level in Washington, I've also heard that, they used to, when they get together and have a beer after a meeting, they used to get a whole lot more done because people could sit down and relax a little and talk in a way that maybe was more natural than when you're sitting up there in front of, on the dais there. So I don't know. I personally would love to suggest, a little coffee after, and or opportunities where you can sit with each other and just discuss, instead of feeling maybe that you're under the microscope. I don't know if that has to do with it, but truly there are people who have disrespected each other while they're up there, and I think that they should be held accountable because, when you represent people in a post like this, you should be an example. And I'm thinking, what would you do if your mother was there? What would you do if your kids were in the audience that day? And I think we need to have a more reflective and respect for each other when we're working together, but have some opportunities to be informal so that you can realize that, we're all trying to do a good job. We're all trying to represent our districts well, but let's do it in a more open manner. That's what I think would be better.
Okay. So let's see. Who all? I'm a little behind the times now. I know. How many people have we got running for the Commission 1?
District 1.
District 1.
Okay. So this year there are District 1, 3, 5, and 7 are going to be replacing their folks.
Right.
And in District 1 we have 4 candidates. We have our incumbent Matt Aiken.
Right.
And then we have Bill Fenoy and Mr. Stanley Hawes and myself.
So you're the only woman running.
I am.
Wow. So how does that? How do you feel about that?
I think it's a great. I think first of all, more women should be running for office for all kinds of offices, and we're seeing that in our district attorney. I think in the judgeships. But I think having more women in office really reflects the diversity of our city, and that's why I say I think more people should run. But it's been an interesting process, and I think lots of people should consider getting involved.
Okay. Now,
and if I can put a shout out to my other girls out there.
Yeah. Well, I noticed you were wearing the pink.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
That's in February. It's the Breast Awareness Month, so I want to put a shout out to all the women to make sure that they get their checks.
Right.
I always do it in October, and in memory of my mom too.
Okay.
She had passed away and had the illness before breast cancer.
Okay.
And so, ladies, make sure do it. It's important.
That's right. It is important.
Yeah.
Right. So. Now, what about the
could I tell you something? I forgot about we were talking about the dilapidated houses.
Yes, yeah. Well, go back.
I forgot to mention that. People say there's not enough money to take care of all these houses,
right? And
that's why they came up with this number, with a limited number of being able to take care of them, which is great for a start. But I was thinking about it, and I've talked to a couple of people that, this town does a wonderful job of fundraising when there are really important issues out there.
Right.
And I think for many of us, we understand whether or not you live in a county or in a district where this is a problem, you understand how it snowballs into other problems. Right. And so I was thinking about, the city is still contributing funds, but what if we had an event called the Wrecking Ball, and we got donated. The city could give us the casino, for instance, for nothing, and then we could put a committee together to have all kinds of music, everything from gospel, rock and roll, jazz, bebop, all kinds of music, and have people, vendors, and food and everything. And the monies for that would be going towards being able to knock down even more houses than
Right.
we've been able to. And perhaps it should be a yearly event until we get it done, because it's sad. The reasons are sad for why we have this situation, but we might be able to turn this around to something where the community is really responding, and the community as a whole would benefit. If we could knock these houses down, let's say you live next door to a vacant lot now because we've torn it down. Well, living next door to a vacant lot is not a great idea either. And this is the Garden City. And we've seen people do beautiful gardening. We have a wonderful gardeners club, and the Gardeners Club through the Extension Office does a wonderful course of study. And we could actually maybe work with these folks and say, okay, would you like a wildflowers growing next to you? Or would you like a blueberry patch? Or would you like an orchard? Or just, ornamental trees or something. But perhaps we could have the city provide that water, and then beside that, ask for donations for plants. There's a lot of nurseries and very generous folks out here, and very generous gardeners that I think could come together if we had the Recreation and Parks folks work on this. And basically you would be adopting that lot next to you. You would be a guardian, if you will, of that new space. And I think it would help you as a neighbor to that space, and help other people think about other ways that they could take care of some of these lots. But clearly it has to be a partnership.
Right. We have to be able to do something about taking away these places where people can go smoke crack.
Exactly.
And these places where prostitutes can go work. Because, I've been out, I'm a mental health worker, work crisis, and I've been out at 4 in the morning, and I've been out at 2 in the afternoon, and I see the same girls going down the street at 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, and they're not out there, I'm pretty sure they're not out there just walking for their health.
Well, that's in terms of women again, I guess, I wonder too, we see on CBS and different shows where they bust the Johns, we call them.
Right.
And I don't know that we've ever had an effort like that here in Richmond County. I mean, I would like to see.
I'd like to see that.
Some of these folks go down that are actually exploiting.
Well, I'd like to see the pimps go
some
down.
of the women.
I'd like to see the pimps go down.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see the people that are getting the money up the ladder go down.
Right. Exactly.
And maybe not penalize the women so much, because some of these women are drug addicted.
I think most of them
Most
seem
of them
to be
are drug
that we've
addicted.
ever
Most
met.
of them that are having they're not doing this because they want to. They're doing this because Larry the pimp's gonna cold cock them upside the face if they don't go out and do so much, bring in so much cash.
Exactly. And I guess that for me brings me to, as a commissioner, I'd be willing to work with the authorities in trying to figure out, what is the reality on the street. And they talk about community policing. I'm not sure what form that's going to take. I've heard of them talking about schools, related to schools.
Well,
but I don't know if there's any programs out there for these women, for instance, that have been identified.
Well, I mean, our mental health centers and our substance abuse centers are so far out. I can tell you as a mental health worker, they're so far out beyond where anybody can get to them. I mean, Serenity and Georgia Regional are out on Mike Paget Highway. Now, how's a girl down here on Fenwick Street going to get there? If she's out hooking, and she's not driving
She's not driving.
She's not driving.
No.
She's walking. Okay. Harrisburg. There's the Harrisburg Health Center around the corner, but they're not doing mental health.
Oh, that's right.
They're not doing mental health.
I think they sort of refer people, I think.
Yeah.
And then if you have a cold or something,
right,
they might be able to help you, but some of their thing isn't really referral.
Right. So there's no immediate thing to go.
Well, wouldn't it be nice if there was mental health,
Some sort of-
open like our CVS and some other
Right,
places
right.
24/7 in
or
every
something.
neighborhood?
To get that, get it open, or I mean, I don't know. What you don't need a place where I don't think you could have a hospital like that or a unit where you could hold anybody. I don't think that's.
Well,
sure.
even housing. My understanding is that here in Augusta we have the Salvation Army where men can stay over the night,
right.
and we do have places that cater to families, women
Right.
with children.
Right.
But when you get these women who are single, there aren't really options open to
Right.
that are safe. And what I've heard from several of the women that I just have gotten in conversation, a lot of it leads them back to that
Right.
perpetual,
Right. Perpetual motion.
I mean, it continues and
Right.
continues the behaviors that maybe they didn't want to do, but it's like, where am I going to stay tonight?
Right.
Kind of thing.
Right.
So, there's a lot of issues that can use attention.
So let's see if we. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's take a break for another song, and let me see what we have here. Let me see. All right. Let me see. This is just a. Let's see. This is. Yeah.
And then that'll
Okay.
give you an opportunity.
Oh, here we are. Oh, we're back to that again. Okay, here we are back again. So, anyway, I had a question for you. What was it? Oh, okay. So, I think there's people see you and talk, have a perception of you sort of being very sort of a nice lady. Are you soft on? Are you going to be soft on crime?
Oh.
Well, you're not sure.
Well, first of all, I am a nice lady.
Okay, we know that, but we established
I
that.
apologize for that.
Right.
But as far as crime goes, I'm running for commissioner. I'm not running for sheriff.
That's true.
And so I'm prepared to work with whoever ends up being in that position. And I certainly want to make sure that my constituents get the services that they deserve.
Right.
But I'm not out there to micromanage them.
Right.
So I'll support them.
I mean, that's, you're not running for sheriff, right?
But I am a nice lady.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, there's been a lot of trouble down there with the T Center, and I don't quite understand about the T Center. I mean, so tell me what you know. Do you know anything about the T Center? I know it's the what is it?
Our exhibit. Let's see. Gosh, I almost forgot the whole thing myself. It's supposed to be a convention center and exhibit center.
Yeah.
And the whole idea that I recall back when actually Ms. Beard was on the commission at the time. Mm-hmm. The whole discussion was surrounding it. Do we really need this or not?
Right.
And of course, the thought was that they were going to go ahead with it because they saw the potential. Mm-hmm. Tourism industry saw the potential. The downtown folks saw the potential to really revitalize and make our downtown a jewel by attracting big conventions. So we have these other places around town, like the Bell and our downtown James Brown Convention Center and all. But they were found to be lacking in the specific amenities that attract these big conventions. There's certain things about it, the ability to cater food for them, the ability to have certain size rooms, different things. But so the commission at that time decided that yes, they thought it would be a good idea. I think the controversy really comes in with, well, if you're going to buy this land, does that, why did we also agree to give this same entity the rights to manage the center?
Right.
And even more recently, talking about giving this entity the right to have all the contracts to deal with it, like catering and all. So, my feeling is the commissioners really need to look at, have things been fairly bid out? Because that's the job and the mission of our commissioners and our local government, is to make sure that when contracts are coming up, that they are fairly bid, and by that I mean, including the local folks, including the minority businesses, and it doesn't appear that that's what happened. What we're seeing is unfolding of information about arrangements and deals that don't follow that pattern of being open and transparent. So, I don't know why is it logical that they should also manage this place? Well, somebody made some arrangements that put it in their hands. And so that's where we are now. And I hope that they can live with their decisions, but truly they have to realize that, any decision that the commissioners make, if it's something that goes against what the mission is of our local government, there could be lawsuits to follow. And, is it worth having to go through that? No, I think we need to examine what we're doing, and if you have the good conscience, they can say that the city is being treated fairly and that taxpayer dollars are being put out for what the taxpayers need, not just to feed somebody's another deal to somebody that's been a friend or a buddy to somebody. It has to be much more transparent, because I think because it has not been in the past is why we got into these controversies recently over the parking deck and that kind of thing. There's been other examples with the golf course, the Patch Golf Course, which everybody enjoyed and many people were able to take advantage of when it was city owned. And then, it just seemed like all of a sudden it was offered to this other entity, and it was not really bid out the way it should have been. And so that was another example. And you just have to say that, as a commissioner, you've got to really be aware that the taxpayers' money and the public trust is honored by following these processes. It's not like private business, where you own a business and you do whatever you want to do with it. This is the taxpayers' money. It's the public trust, and there needs to be a concerted effort to make sure that those are the guidelines that are being followed, not the same rules that private industry might be following. So I think that the commissioners really have to take a hard look and make sure that they feel that the city is acted in the best interest of the residents of Augusta.
Well, I was thinking about the parking deck too, because the parking deck is on land that belongs to somebody, and I don't think it belongs to the city, but the city, and I don't understand this, the city has, and this sounds imaginary to me, the city has air rights, which I don't know how to explain that in 100 words or less. What?
Right.
Do you have any idea how to?
It's really good to have everybody's eyes on what the commissioners are doing. Okay, all the residents should be doing that, and there have been folks out there who have brought up issues related to this and said the very same thing that you and I were thinking, and other people are thinking, what the heck does that mean?